and welcome to another episode of the Verde Valley Experience. I hope that you're getting out and enjoying the weather and your juniper allergies are not as bad as mine. It's still worth living here though. I don't care what the juniper throws at me. I'm not going anywhere. I love it here. So, I'll deal with it. So sorry about the voice. It's going to be a little weird today, but it's still awesome. We have a great show ahead of you today. Lots of good stuff happening, of course, as always in the Verde Valley. Our first guest today is Nancy Spinelli. She is chair of the 38th Annual Native Plant Workshop, which is brought to you by Keep Sedona Beautiful. Keep Sedona Beautiful, acting through the stewardship of its members and volunteers, is committed to protect and sustain the unique scenic beauty and natural environment of the greater Sedona area. And they're going to do just that through a series of workshops and presentations on Saturday, April 1st at the 38th Annual Native Plant Workshop. Whether you're interested in pollinators, water usage, composting, or feasting on high desert edibles, there is something for you at the 38th Annual Native Plant Fair. Our next guests are patient care representative Lisa Long and nurse Claudia Schizal from Northern Arizona Hospice. Hospice care is centered on the effective management of pain and other symptoms at the end stage of an illness. Hospice workers deliver physical, emotional, social, and spiritual support to patients and their family members. Lisa and Claudia will be in the studio to help us learn more about hospice, find out if you or someone you love may be a candidate for hospice, and also how to become a hospice volunteer. Next, we'll meet with the fine folks from Clarkdale Kayak Company. We'll have Daniel DeStefano, the marketing manager, and Scott Buckley, who is the owner and guide manager. It is the perfect time, since it's going to be spring here any minute, to get out on the Verde River with a boat. But you know what? Anytime is a great time to get out on the Verde River, and kayaking is way too fun. It's a fantastic way to start off this season of wet and wild fun. Take a trip down the most scenic and beautiful river in Arizona desert. Then we'll be joined by Megan and Debbie Gibson. Debbie and Megan created the Grand Canyon Project based on their ancestral ties to the Grand Canyon. Debbie's book, Stories the Canyon Keeps, and Megan's album, 100 Years Away, pair together beautifully to weave a rich and colorful story around the history of their families and the beginnings of tourism at our lovely Grand Canyon. They combine music, poetry, photography, historical insights, and stories, and this dynamic duo creates an unforgettable inside look at our favorite landmark. And then we'll go on location and meet with reenactor Bob from Fort Verde State Historic Park. Bob will be acting the part of the surgeon's assistant and introduce us to the medicine and surgical procedures used at the fort during the 1840s. Good stuff. We cut out the graphic stuff. No fainting at home. It's okay. We're going to just lightly glaze over it. But if you want to learn more about that, Fort Verde is hosting the History of the Soldier at the park from April 8th to the 9th from 9 to 6. So be sure to stop by and visit Bob and his wonderful display. And finally, we'll be treated to a live musical performance from Megan Gibson. Megan will play pieces from her album, 100 Years Away. As a fifth-generation Arizonan, Megan has poured her heart and soul and family history into compiling beautiful songs for your enjoyment. And all of that is coming up in just a few, so stick around. Our first guest today is Nancy Spinelli, who is the Native Plant Workshop Chair from Keep Sedona Beautiful. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You know, I love native plants. I love plants of any sort. Thank you for bringing these gorgeous plants, all of which I see out in the desert.
Yes, you do.
But learning how to cultivate them at home has not been one of my talents.
Well, certainly come to Lindsay Cure's presentation where she'll talk to you about decorative native plants.
Right. Then you can really do that, and then they don't take a lot of water, and of course the javelinas don't eat them, and that's always a good thing too. So the Native Fair Plant Workshop is happening on April 1st. That's correct, at West Sedona School in West Sedona.
Correct.
Excellent.
Correct.
Excellent.
It starts at 8:30 in the morning. The doors will open at 7:45. It goes until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We have breakfast savories that were donated by Weber's IGA. Excuse me. And lunch is provided by Wildflower Bread Company.
Very nice.
Connecticut has supplied water stations, so please bring your own mugs and water glasses so that we can have a zero waste management event.
Ooh.
Sedona Recycles will be there with their bins so that we can compost any leftover food scraps. We can compost the plates and the napkins. So we try our best to take care of our environment.
Wow, that's impressive to do a zero waste event. That's impressive. That's quite a goal. But I know if anybody can do it, Sedona, no problem. We got that handled.
We do our best.
Now you have 2 keynote speakers and 6 different workshops that we
Correct.
can take part in. How does that work? So tickets, you want to get your ticket ahead of time. You want to save a little money. It's $25 for members if you get it ahead of time, $35 for non-members. But at the door, it goes up to $35 and $45, so you can save yourself a little money by booking now.
Please, please.
And then how does that work? We get our ticket, we show up, and what happens?
Well, you register, and then you get your breakfast savories. You get a goodie bag, which we have over 70 different business sponsors that have donated inserts as well as monies to promote our program. Then you have we have 30 minutes of introduction where we'll also be doing the Herkenham Award. This will be the 11th year, and Sue Smith from Prescott will be our recipient.
Wonderful.
And then we go at 9 o'clock, our first speaker comes on, which is Ursula Schusch, who's come all the way from Tucson, where she is an extension specialist and professor in the School of Plant Sciences. And she's going to talk on going native, the whole system approach. So we should get an hour and 15 minutes of wonderful knowledge. Then we go to our first breakout session, which is one of those 6 workshops. Then we have lunch. Then we have another speaker. That's Bill McDorman is our second keynote. And he's going to talk about what is native and what is invasive. And hopefully help us evaluate the good from the so-called bad plants in our landscapes. He's the executive director of the Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance from Ketchum, Idaho, during the summer, but in the winter he lives right here in Cornville.
Oh, excellent.
So where he started a seed class, a school.
Oh.
So he's going to be talking about the native plants as well.
Fabulous.
And then we go to our second breakout session, and we end up at 2 o'clock.
Wow. And how does one choose between the 6 different workshops that you can partake in? I mean, you've got pollinators, you've got native plants of the Verde, decorative native plants, water-wise landscaping, discovering wild natives, which is my fun thing. I love picking things and eating them, so that's just great. And then compost versus mulch. There is a big difference. I didn't know that.
Yes, there is. It's basically what you're interested in. You know, and if you've been coming, some people have been coming for over the last 20 years.
Wow.
So they may have had some of these topics before. I mean, we always try to do something with the native plants just because that's our focus.
Right.
So but every year we try to have a different speaker so that you get different slants from each one.
Wonderful.
So it's what are you interested in?
Well, all of it. Everything. Soak it all up.
Well, we only take 30 attendees per session.
Oh, wow.
So you do have to select. The
Another
walkabout is already sold out, to be honest, and the decorative native plants is almost full.
Wow.
So please register as soon as possible in order to get your first choice.
Oh my gosh, yes, hurry that up. KeepSedonaBeautiful.org is where you're going to get your tickets online, and they do the registration process through there.
Yes, and you can pay by cash, check, PayPal. If you need to, you call the office and you give them, you come in with the check or the cash.
Wow, that's very nice of you to accept money anyway. We'd like to give it to you.
Exactly.
Are you a gardener yourself?
I do have native plants in my yard. Gardener, no, because the javelinas like my garden.
There you go.
And you can't do that.
But
like one of the plants over here with the red, the firecracker penstemon, those are growing in my garden area because I did create one.
Nice.
But they're growing, and the javelinas don't like those.
That's true.
And they are starting to bloom now. They're absolutely gorgeous.
They are. And the globe mallow, is that what this is? The
Yes, it
peachy
is.
one? I love that one. And these are
The
daisies.
Blackfoot daisy.
Blackfoot daisies. I love. And what is this pinkish cherry blossomy looking one? I haven't seen that one
That's
before.
called a gara.
Agara.
And again, it grows native. You'll find it out on the trails.
It's so pretty. I love it now. There's flowers popping up everywhere.
It's beautiful.
It's just, I'm just a flower nut. So look at this. And I don't know what most of them are, except for goat heads. I know what goat head flowers look
Well,
like.
you knew your globe mallow.
I do. I know, and I almost remembered that. But yeah, I spend a lot of time in the forest, and I see these, and I wish that I could have them around my house because it's just dirt everywhere. But I plant things and they die, so I'm obviously doing something wrong. I need the native plant workshop to help me. And I know I'm not alone, people.
Exactly. Which is why we do this once a year to try to help.
38th annual. That's fantastic. How long have you been involved, Nancy?
I started on the committee in 2010, and I've been co-chair every year since. So that's 7 years.
That's wonderful. Are you part of Keep Sedona Beautiful as well?
Yes.
Oh, what's your role there?
chairing the native plant workshop.
Oh, there you go. It's that big of a job. That's amazing.
It takes about 400 hours for me, and
Wow.
the committee spends about 1,000 hours.
Wow.
So it's a big volunteer commitment.
That's great.
As well as the community. As I said, we have 70 business sponsors.
Oh, I know, amazing amount of sponsors.
Which is fantastic to get the community behind us. We also have a silent auction where, again, the community has donated the items as well as individuals,
Right.
with all that money going to support KSB and their programs.
That's wonderful. And if you want to be a member of KSB, how much does it cost a year?
I believe it's $35 for an individual, $50 for a family.
Wow. And see, that's great.
So,
And that goes to benefit Keep Sedona Beautiful and all the programs that you guys do.
well, we do the speaker series, which is once a month, where we bring in different speakers from the area. It helps the litter lifters, where we handle 67 miles of road in the Sedona area.
Wow.
You know, we were the ones behind the Dark Sky program where we
Thank
got
you.
designated.
Thank
So
you.
they do all sorts of
Thank
things.
you. Wow, it's great. So check out keepsedonabeautiful.org. Of course, you can get your tickets for the 38th Annual Native Plant Workshop. You get them now before your favorite things sell out. And you can also check out Keep Sedona Beautiful, what they do, become a member, learn about the speaker series, learn about all the other stuff. Check out keepsedonabeautiful.com. Nancy Spinelli, thank you for being with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back, so don't go away.
This is important news from the Diabetic Supply Line. If you, a friend, or a family member has diabetes and you have lost your supplier, or if you need a supplier for your diabetic supplies, you may qualify to get your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. To be potentially eligible, you only need Medicare or private insurance. Call the Diabetic Supply Line now. Operators are standing by to take your call. Call now.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people?
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
It's absolutely worth it.
Call 1-800-590-2166 for a free no-obligation quote.
A message from the Pulaski Law Firm. You started there right out of high school, learned your trade and did it well. And the asbestos you handled, well, that was just part of the job. If you worked in the trades and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, get the best care available, then call us. You may be entitled to financial compensation without ever going to court.
Call 800-237-0933.
And see how we can help. Mesothelioma, don't fight it alone.
And welcome back to the Verde Valley Experience. We are now here with Lisa Long, who is from Northern Arizona Hospice. She is a patient care representative. That's a nice title. I like how that rings.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you get to deal one-on-one with patients. It must be gratifying.
I do. It's very gratifying, yes. And really what I do is education and community outreach.
Excellent.
So I work a lot with the patients and a lot with the physicians as well.
Oh, very good. Now tell us, I know that hospice care is centered around an effective management of pain and other symptoms at the end stage of an illness, but can you tell us a little bit more about what hospice care is?
It's so much more, yes. We work with a whole team. And really hospice originated in England for weary travelers. And we work with the patient as well as the family. We provide, of course, pain management, definitely. We have a team of nurses that works with the patient. We also have a social worker for emotional support for the patient and the family. Also, a chaplain for the spiritual support. We have a CNA that helps with bathing and cleansing. We have volunteers to give the family a break. You know, maybe the wife wants to go get her hair done, or the husband just needs to get away, go shopping, anything. You need a break. It can be emotionally and physically exhausting to care for somebody who's at the end stage of life. So
Yes,
it's a whole
absolutely.
team.
Yeah, for sure. Now, becoming a volunteer for hospice must be just one of the best ways to give back to your community. What's involved in becoming a volunteer?
All of our volunteers as well as our staff is specifically trained. So they would just contact us and then they would apply for training And again, if it's a good fit, then we'd love to have volunteers. They are an essential part of our team.
Well, sure.
Yes.
And you bet you need a lot of them.
We do. We need a lot of volunteers, and they love it. It's so fulfilling.
Well, sure.
And the patients love our volunteers as well as our staff, and so it's a win-win.
Right, for sure. How long have you been involved?
I was first involved with hospice in 2002. Yes, yes. And then I moved up here to the valley, up to northern Arizona. And so now I've been involved again since about August, last August.
Excellent, excellent. I'm
Yes.
sure they're very happy to have you with your experience and all, being the face of the Verde Valley Hospice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, how do you know if someone needs hospice? When do you get to the point where you have to start really thinking about that?
If they have a terminal diagnosis, then we want to start talking about it. It's never the easiest thing to talk about, and that's why the community education and outreach is so important. And we want to talk about it. And again, we approach it very gently. Okay, so if there's, say, somebody has cancer, there's so many different diagnoses. If they don't want to do chemo anymore, if they're like, no, I'm okay, I'm comfortable with where I am, then okay, let's talk about hospice. The earlier we can bring hospice in, the better, because we can do more. You know, we can do more with the pain management. If we get in at the very end, like just a couple of days, there's just so much you can do. And we can't get that pain under control as well as we could if we were in there earlier.
Right. That's for sure. Now, if someone has questions, like, you know, and they're thinking, well, maybe I don't know, they should give you a call.
Oh, absolutely. We'll do consultations. Definitely, you know, these are your options. There's so many different options. Maybe hospice is right at the moment. Maybe we do want to wait. Maybe they do want to seek more treatment.
Right.
But when a person signs on hospice, that means they're no longer looking for a cure. They're like, okay, they may not be fully comfortable with where they are, but they're understanding a little bit more.
Sure.
That we're talking about end of life.
Right.
It is something, if I went into a crowded room, 3,000 people, and asked how many people here are going to die,
Well, really,
it's 100%.
Yeah.
But we never want to go there. We never want to talk
Right.
about it.
True, and most of us don't know when.
We don't know when.
Think about the time when you start to know about when is the time to start to really think about hospice.
Absolutely. And we can start thinking about it now and just know that, okay, that's an option when that time comes.
When that time comes. Yes. Now, as far as community outreach, what do you do?
Well, a lot of education, and we are participating in the Love and Family Run. That's coming up next weekend, next Saturday.
Excellent.
So if anybody wants to participate in that, we would love it.
Very good.
And that starts at Dead Horse Ranch State Park, 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll be out there walking and running, and
Excellent.
and everything goes to support our Valley View Care, which is our sliding fee scale hospice house.
Oh, very nice.
Yes,
It's very nice to have that.
it is. It's so essential. I wish we had more of them here in the valley.
Yeah, so we need more runners to join this Love and Family Run.
We do.
Now, how do they sign up for that?
If they went to loveandfamilyrun.com,
Oh, well, there we go.
there.
Easy enough. I
And
love it when it's
again-
easy.
Yes, we like easy. Yes, easy is good. And of course, they could contact me. I'm happy to help.
Well, there you go. Give a call, 928-639-6676. Now, I've seen hospice at work, and it is wonderful. Makes it easier for everyone.
It does.
You know, you've got the patient, of course, who is the primary focus, but the patient has family, and those family are different rings, and that the ripples go farther out, and being armed with information is the key to getting through it as in a way where you don't want to say survive it, you don't want to say go through it the best you can, but really go through it the best you can.
Have support. Have a team with you. And I tell people, when we give birth, we expect to have a team, right? We don't expect to do that on our own. So why do we expect to do this, the end of life, on our own? Especially in our society, we're taught, well, be independent, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you can't do it by yourself, well, what's wrong with you?
Right.
This isn't something to do by yourself.
Right.
This is something to have support.
Definitely. Gosh,
Yeah.
the society said that because I thought it was just my dad.
I know, mine too.
Your dad said that? I thought that was my dad. You just quoted my dad there. Oh, it says, oh, he stole that one from society.
He
told
did.
me it was his.
They did. Yours
So-
and mine both.
Right. Well, see, you don't have to do it alone,
You
I
don't.
think is the key takeaway for hospice. You've got a team. That's so important. And I love, you're absolutely right about birth. You know, absolutely. You don't go through that alone, not in this country.
No, thank goodness.
So don't go through the other end of life alone. Have a team.
Absolutely, have a team. And sometimes you just want somebody to talk to or just sit with.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you may feel like you're losing your mind
Oh, yeah.
because should I do this? Should I do that? I mean, we don't come equipped with knowing how to exit this life.
Sure.
So it's nice to just say, oh my gosh, can we just chat?
Yeah, somebody to chat with. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Lisa, thank you very much for what you're doing.
You're so welcome.
You do a beautiful job there, I know you do, and hospice is so important for so many people in the Verde Valley. If you have any questions, give them a call at 928-639-6676. Lisa Long, Patient Care Representative at Northern Arizona Hospice. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
And we'll
Such
be
a
right
pleasure.
back, so don't go away.
A message from the Pulaski Law Firm. You started there right out of high school, learned your trade and did it well. And the asbestos you handled, well, that was just part of the job. If you worked in the trades and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, get the best care available, then call us. You may be entitled to financial compensation without ever going to court.
Call 800-237-0933.
And see how we can help. Mesothelioma, don't fight it alone.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people?
If you don't have First American warranty, get it.
It's absolutely worth it.
Call 1-800-590-2166 for a free no-obligation quote.
This is important news from the Diabetic Supply Line. If you, a friend, or a family member has diabetes and you have lost your supplier, or if you need a supplier for your diabetic supplies, you may qualify to get your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. To be potentially eligible, you only need Medicare or private insurance. Call the Diabetic Supply Line now. Operators are standing by to take your call. Call now.
And welcome back to the Verde Valley Experience. We are now here with Daniel DeStefano, who is the marketing manager for Clarkdale Kayak Company, and Scott Buckley, who is the owner and guide operations manager. Did I get that right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, close enough, I think, is what you mean.
Close enough. Yeah.
Titles are always so much fun on this show. Thank you guys for being here. Boy, the river is running like crazy. You must be having so much fun.
It is. Yeah, we did have a really fun winter. We weren't running commercial trips, but you know, we were having fun.
You were
going on
out
it.
there having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? I know, I see people all the time. I mean, the water's like 40 degrees.
The water's chilly, but the air's nice and warm right now. And actually, the water's come down to really safe, runnable levels now. We're at just a little under 100 CFS right now, which is ideal for the Verde River at Clarkdale stretch.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And all that
perfect
water is
levels.
starting to clear up as well. So.
Oh, yes, I noticed that, you know, when it runs like red mud or
Yeah, when it floods, it gets a little murky.
Gets a little murky,
it's
but
starting
now
to clear
you
up.
can see this
Spring
perfect
is
time.
a beautiful time to go.
So what are you guys doing now? What kind of trips are you running?
We are running the lower stretch in Clarkdale from Tapco River Access Point to Tuzagoot Bridge River Access Point. It's about 3.5 miles, and it takes about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And we're also running 4 trips a day, and we have the capacity to take up to 16 people per trip.
Excellent. One person per kayak? Or do you have a,
we,
you have a
we
choice?
also have tandem kayaks. So for
Excellent.
young children, we will put them in a boat with their parent.
That's true, yeah. You know, set my daughter loose on the river, it would be quite comical.
Yeah, we could take them as young as 4 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
How fun is that? I mean, that's a great experience.
And typically, it's safer. The smaller the human, the smaller the statue of the person, the safer it is. They have much less of a tendency to tip or come out of their boat
Oh, that's
when they're
that's
small.
true. Well, the little ones are bottom heavy.
Yeah.
Like the weebles that wobble,
Yeah.
they don't fall over. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good because I wouldn't have thought of that.
And we arm the children in front with a water cannon. So,
Excellent.
yeah, they have a lot of
Keeps them
fun.
busy too.
Yep. Call them our gunners.
Oh my gosh, that is way too much fun. Now, do you guys get out on the river yourselves and guide these trips?
Oh yeah,
We
Yep,
do.
both of you.
both
We
of us
both
do.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, do you have to have any sort of certification for guiding on the river?
We are, we're all ACA, which is American Canoe Association, but it's more of a kayak association. We're all ACA certified. I'm a level 3 guide, so I can guide up to class 4 water. The levels don't match the class. And then we're all first aid certified, and we're all CPR certified.
Excellent. Got
And
about
that's
that.
sort of a prerequisite to work with the company. At least all of our lead guides. We also have a lead guide, and then we have a safety boater for each trip. And our safety boaters are all either first aid and CPR, not necessarily ACA certified. But Dan's ACA certified, and 4 other of our guides are ACA certified.
Excellent. That's good to have that. Now, how are your guides on knowledge of birds and things?
Pretty good. We do
Very good,
we do quite a bit of biology. We do a little ancient history with the ancient Sonawa ruins right there at the Tapco River access point. We talk a little bit about the riparian zone along the river. You know, it being the rarest forest in the world.
Yeah.
Some of the native fishes, native birds. We work a lot with the Verde River Institute with Doug Von Gosek, who's also the mayor of Clarkdale.
Yes.
Super knowledgeable.
He's a very cool. I kayaked the Verde with him.
Oh, there you go. So
He was awesome.
A lot of our guides we do trips with him as well. So a lot of the information our guides get comes from Doug.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Go Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge. And we will also be participating in the Verde Valley Birding and Nature Festival this year.
Oh yeah, how so?
We will be taking our tandem kayaks out to the lagoons that are right there at Riverfront Park. Or actually, I believe that's Dead Horse Ranch is where they do that.
Dead Horse.
All the birding guides. So yeah, we'll just be running our 2-person kayaks around the lagoons there.
Oh, nice.
Free to families. They can come out and paddle around the
Wow.
little pond there.
Really, free for families. You can paddle about the pond at Dead Horse during the Verde.
Yeah, the Verde Valley Birding and Nature
Let's
Festival.
say that one.
Yeah,
No.
it's a mouthful.
Taking the titles.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice. Are you doing that to get people to see how easy kayaking is?
Yeah.
Because it really is.
We just, we want to have a presence there, and we just like to promote kayaking. So
Yeah, of course, absolutely. How long have you guys been active in the community? How long has Clarkdale Kayak Company been around?
This is our 2nd season.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
we just started our 2nd season yesterday. as a
Wednesday.
matter of fact.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank
It's very
you.
fresh.
Yeah.
That's
And the
fun.
weather has so far cooperated well with us.
It's been
We
really
had
nice.
Flows over 4,000 CFS less than 2 weeks ago, which is virtually unrunnable.
Really?
And now, like I said, we're down to perfect water levels 3 weeks later, and beautiful mid 80 degree temperatures right now.
Right.
Yep.
So what makes it unrunnable? Too much water? How so?
Typically, the water gets so high that it's floating through the tops of the trees
Oh,
instead of not through the
Yeah.
trees at all.
right.
And
Got
it
it.
creates a series of strainers, as we call them in the boating world. It'd be like trying to get a boat through a spaghetti strainer, if you will.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
But right now it's perfect.
It's
Right now it is
absolutely
perfect.
perfect right now.
Right.
The weather's perfect, the water's perfect, the flows are perfect.
Everything's in bloom.
We still have a lot of our winter birds, that
True.
winter down here around, so there's a lot of wildlife, waterfowl. Been seeing a lot of river otters lately.
Get out.
Yeah, so
Cool.
it's, in fact, Dan and I did a trip on the Upper Verde last week and probably saw 30 plus otters.
Yeah.
No way.
Oh yeah.
It was a 2-day trip. We were out
2-day
there
trip,
for a while. We did 20 miles, but
But we see a lot of otters just in the Verde River at Clarkdale stretch,
Really?
the stretch that we take people down on
Who'd
as
have
well.
thunk?
So
Yeah.
Yep.
What an amazing trip.
Yeah.
And how long do the trips normally run? Hour and a half?
it takes about 2.5 hours from the time that you get on the water.
Sure. But it's a pleasant float. It's not like with those commercials, those beer commercials where they're
No. There are 2 Class 1 rapids in the lower half of the stretch that we do, but they're really easy and simple to maneuver. And our guides also get out of their boats and they stand in the middle of the rapids. Just in case you start to get off course or you fall out of your boat, they're right there to grab you and get you back up and going.
Oh, cool. So you would say, Dan, anyone can do this trip.
Anyone can
Anyone
do
can
this.
do it. We
Yes.
took people last year as old as, I believe, 82 and as young as 4.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, it's a very, very safe trip. Very family oriented, very fun. You know, a lot of people show up with that, oh, I'm going kayaking, and then by the end of the trip, they're pretty mellow. And
yeah, it is very relaxing.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
Yeah, the guides are very hands-on.
Well, good.
Zero injuries last season. We don't expect any injuries this season.
That's great. Now, if they want to book a trip, what do? They give you guys a call.
Yep. They can call us at 800-478-4711, or they can go to clarkdalekayak.com.
There you go. Easy enough. You can book online, clarkdalekayak.com. Of course, you've got information there and about the trip and where you're going, and pictures are always fun too. So very easy onboarding process. So to speak.
Yes, and our guides always carry waterproof cameras, and they're taking pictures through the whole tour, and those go up on Facebook for free after the trip is over.
That never happens anymore. Nobody does it. They charge you like $30 a picture.
Yeah, we just request
a good idea.
that they like our Facebook page. That's all they
Well,
have.
there you go. Oh, that's awesome. So you're on Facebook. And
On
of course, ClarkdaleKayakCompany.com.
Yeah, ClarkdaleKayak.com.
Clarkdale Kayak Company. I can't even
There's no
say
company.
it. ClarkdaleKayak.com.
There you go.
There we go. I'm just all excited. I love the kayak. So. Well, Dan, thank you for being here. Scott, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful season.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We'll check out ClarkdaleKayak.com. And we'll be right back, so don't go away.
A message from the Pulaski Law Firm. You started there right out of high school, learned your trade and did it well. And the asbestos you handled, well, that was just part of the job. If you worked in the trades and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, get the best care available. Then call us. You may be entitled to financial compensation without ever going to court.
Call 800-237-0933.
And see how we can help. Mesothelioma. Don't fight it alone.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Get the first American home warranty plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people?
If you don't have First American warranty, get it.
It's absolutely worth it.
Call 1-800-590-2166 for a free no-obligation quote.
This is important news from the Diabetic Supply Line. If you, a friend, or a family member has diabetes and you have lost your supplier, or if you need a supplier for your diabetic supplies, you may qualify to get your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. To be potentially eligible, you only need Medicare or private insurance. Call the Diabetic Supply Line now. Operators are standing by to take your call. Call now.
Excellent. I'm here with the lovely Gibson ladies. We have Megan and Debbie. That's a wonderful way. We're in the halfway point of our show, and we've got lots more exciting stuff, and this is awesome. Two of the most beautiful and stylish ladies. First of all, you don't expect you guys to be just historians as well.
Oh, thank you. Fabulous news.
There you go. You didn't know that?
No, that's like more multifaceted.
Oh, yeah, you count as historians. I mean, come on, you're musicians, you're authors, you're singer-songwriters, you've got a children's book, you've got it all going on. All going on right here on the Verde Valley.
Yes.
That is amazing. So tell us, Grand Canyon Project. This is huge.
It is. We're really excited about it. It's rooted in my 5 generations of Arizona history at the Grand Canyon. So my great-great-grandfather really founded tourism there. And, you know, it's an interesting concept because it goes back to the Grand Canyon tourism industry. It started somewhere, and this is the true beginning. I mean, there's IMAX, there's Skywalk. It just hit 6 million visitors in 2016, but the beginning is so amazing and precious, and so we're wanting to share that. That's the basis for it.
And we just kind of thought it was amazing too. Here is this man, he was told he needed to come out here for his health. He ends up in Williams working for the railroad, hears about this huge canyon and indigenous people that live in the bottom of the canyon, makes his way there, and I just can't imagine what he was thinking looking over this huge expanse. And he's saying to himself, this is where I'm going to make my life.
This is home.
This is where I'm going to make a living here.
I'm going to live here.
Yeah. And he had this vision that I think is stupendous, to really know what it could actually bring. And again, the sharing that he wanted to do, that was really wonderful to see, that he really did want to share this beautiful, amazing work of art with people.
Yeah, and it is a work
He
of art.
accomplished some amazing things too. He built over 50 miles of trails through the canyon. He had numerous famous visitors that visited him there. Zane Grey was a friend of his. John Muir.
Wow.
George Wharton James.
William Randolph Hearst. They referred to as Billy.
Yeah.
Henry Ford.
Douglas Fairbanks. He had a conversation with Charles Lindbergh, which then he thought, oh, flight. I think we need flight here at the canyon. And of course it came, but way after his time. So.
Wow, and we're talking about William Wallace Bass, is that correct?
Yes.
Who is your great-great-grandfather.
Yes, my great-great-grandfather.
Wow,
Yeah.
you've got an amazing family tree.
Well, and the rest of it is my great-great-grandmother, who was a musician. And then my great-grandfather was Bert Luzon, and he ended up going down with the Cole brothers on the last leg of their expedition. He went on to become a deputy sheriff and a park ranger.
One of 10
Yeah.
when they first started that system at the park. And just their lives, the people they knew, the things they did accomplished, it was just kind of astounding. And they
lived
just
in a cave.
would constantly go forward, just constantly step forward, and there would be some huge problem, and they would just step across it
And
and,
they were
do
determined. It was amazing about them.
Hardworking
Back
people.
then, we were very determined.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've written several books. You've got the children's book, but you also have the book that's called The Stories That the Canyon Keeps. The Stories the Canyon Keeps.
Good.
It's a beautiful book, Debbie.
It is, and it's fun because our whole point in doing this is we wanted to give people just an overall experience. There are letter excerpts. Our family, thank heavens, were hoarders.
Oh, great.
And saved massive amounts of just memorabilia, photographs, letters, journals, amazing things. And so what I tried to do in my book is just do a compilation of that, put little excerpts, and take each person kind of as they come along, from beginning with William Wallace Bass and kind of his life, his decision to come out west. It's kind of not just the story of the Grand Canyon, but kind of the story of America coming westward. Sure. And so that's kind of neat. And we just have encompassed that. And then what we did with Meg is, in areas in the book, kind of correspond to her music. So I actually put
Passages.
a little, I put a little area in the book when I'm talking about something that corresponds. Like we'll talk about the monsoons and what W.W. must have thought looking out over this huge expanse during a monsoon. And then Megan's song, I denote that underneath there, Megan's song that corresponds with that.
And it's multi-sensory, it's multifaceted, and we wanted to do that. We wanted to blend the senses, and we wanted to truly connect this time that was over 100 years away with present, and how it's universal, I think, and the concepts of determination and what everything they went through. And so we wanted to bring that out in so many different, so it's a dynamic project, it's a dynamic business with different layers and colorization through the different mediums. So
yeah, for sure. How long did it take to get the book into print?
From the time I kind of had this epiphany. I have some amazing stories in it, but I've wanted to do this for probably 40 years.
All right.
And I was always constantly trying to nudge my husband to do something, nudge other people. And then about 4 years ago, I just went kind of like little, light bulb. I went, I'm the one that's amazed by it, fascinated by it. And so I decided to just do the research, and thank heavens they saved all these things. And it was all, a lot of the family members have some of the, photographs and whatever, but a lot of it was donated to the Arizona Historical Society and eventually ended up at the Klein Library up at NAU. And so I would spend days up there researching it. Some of it's online, but mostly it was just slogging through. And I just decided it was just something that needed to be told. And from a different perspective, there have been things written about W.W. Bass, a little bit about his wife, Ada, but not really, there's not a whole lot of continuity from the beginning of their time there to really the end of their time there, the family's time there.
Well, that's wonderful. You've put all that together in the book, Stories the Canyon Keeps. Now, how about your children's book?
And the children's book, Megan and I wrote together.
Yeah. This is my...
oh, cutie.
Yes, I adopted him from animal control about 10 years ago. I'm a big animal rights advocate, so I love anything that we can do for the animals. So we really wanted to highlight his success story as an adopted dog. And so we ended up, designing the full book, and it actually takes him on a trail down through the Bass Trail, which is named after my great-grandfather. So we studied everything. All of it is fact-based on all the different critters that you would actually see along the trail and all the historically based things. So then there are hiking tips in the back, safety tips, and all the facts about the canyon. And the idea too is to really raise awareness for foster and adoption efforts. And so Scruffy's a peculiar little character, and so he's written into the into the book. Yeah.
And we also tried to bring into it all the different, like the condors and the tufted-eared squirrels and the things that you would see going down Bass Trail. So we kind of tried to incorporate that. Plus make it really colorful and fun.
And it looks like you could do a series.
It is
That's
a
our
series.
plan.
Yes, yes. So this is the first book.
The first book in the Hide and Seek series.
Exactly.
Scruffy does Bass Trail.
Scruffy, yes.
We have to do Scruffy meets Brighty.
Right, yeah. Scruffy meets Brighty.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
I see, yeah.
You got it.
Hey,
You're
take
on
it,
it.
run with it. It's just beginning for you girls.
It's
Come
just
on.
starting.
Oh my gosh, you have so much just talent and information and stories, and I love stuff like that. So it's great that you're getting it out there and getting it to people. Now, how do we get a hold of your books?
Sure, you can visit GrandCanyonProject.com, and we have the full backstory and bios on both of us and what our backgrounds are, and a full retail line and a shop online, so you can check all of it out.
You are your own online store?
We are, yes.
That's great. That's kind of like shopping local right there.
Exactly, shopping local.
And that's one of the other things we like to emphasize. All of our products, except for just one of the bags and one of the T-shirts, everything is all American made.
Yeah.
The inks, the paper, we dealt with local people. We dealt with companies that were, had met certain specifications. So that was a huge thing for us. Basically
wonderful.
Shop America.
Thank you for doing that. I always appreciate things made in America, so thank you that. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for the beginning. This is just the beginning of the books now, people. Keep keep an eye on GrandCanyonProject.com. Keep an eye on that. These ladies are going places. And don't go away, because in just a few more minutes, Megan's going to come back and perform some of the songs from the CD called 100 Years Away, which is going to be great. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Keep up the great work. I wish you huge success. I can see you now touring globally, talking about Grand Canyon.
Like WW.
Absolutely. Manifestors unite. And we'll be right back, so don't go away. There's lots more of the Verde Valley Experience.
A message from the Pulaski Law Firm. You started there right out of high school, learned your trade and did it well. And the asbestos you handled, well, that was just part of the job. If you worked in the trades and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, get the best care available. Then call us. You may be entitled to financial compensation without ever going to court.
Call 800-237-0933
and see how we can help. Mesothelioma. Don't fight it alone.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Get the first American home warranty plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people?
If you don't have First American warranty, get it.
It's absolutely worth it.
Call 1-800-590-2166 for a free no-obligation quote.
This is important news from the Diabetic Supply Line. If you, a friend, or a family member has diabetes and you have lost your supplier, or if you need a supplier for your diabetic supplies, you may qualify to get your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. To be potentially eligible, you only need Medicare or private insurance. Call the Diabetic Supply Line now. Operators are standing by to take your call. Call now.
And welcome back to the Verde Valley Experience. We are now out here on the porch of the Surgeon's Quarters at Fort Verde State Historic Park with our favorite reenactor, Bob Erb, who is the hospital steward here at Fort Verde.
That's correct.
That is correct. Tell us what the hospital steward would do.
Okay, the hospital steward is a really an enlisted man that would be recruited to become the assistant, you might say, to the post surgeon. And so it's a person kind of acting like what we think of maybe as a nurse today, but probably had even a larger role than that back in those days.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you would be the assistant to the surgeon, so
Yes.
you're the everything.
I'm the everything.
He gets all the credit and you do all the work.
That's right.
That's right.
So,
You have the most amazing display of instruments of torture I've ever seen.
okay, yes.
Explain a little bit about what's going on here, because it looks like you could cover every eventuality here.
Well, pretty much, yes. This is a display that represents the types of surgical tools and other kinds of things that doctors and surgeons would have used during that period, during the the Fort Verde days of the 1870s and the 1880s, but really the same stuff that they would have used during the American Civil War in the 1860s. And for most of it actually goes back into the Revolutionary War and even before that as well, because medicine moved very slowly back in those particular days. But to give you an idea of how medicine has improved, if we look at the American Civil War in the 1860s, if a soldier got shot in the abdomen, the belly area, 87% of those soldiers died from that wound because they had no idea of germs of that time, things getting infected. They didn't really know how to do internal surgery. So 87%. But if we look at that same wound and we move forward to the 1940s into the World War II period, for the same wound, we're now looking at 4% that are dying instead of the 87.
Big difference.
If we go another 20 years into the 1960s to the Vietnam conflict, we're looking at 1%. Wow. So it's hard to get much better than that.
Yeah.
Same thing if you had a chest wound back in those days, 62% of those people died of a chest wound, again for the same reasons, not knowing how to do the internal surgery, et cetera. Now here at Fort Verde, there was a lot of different things that would have happened to the soldiers. And to give you an idea of one thing, let's say a soldier had a toothache, and he would come up here to see the surgeon. But the thing to keep in mind is that during this period of time, very few surgeons were actually trained in dentistry.
Oh.
So it was kind of on-the-job learning, that sort of thing. Okay, so the soldier comes up, and what they're going to probably do is lay him on his back on the floor. The surgeon's going to straddle the chest. Actually, quite often, the hospital stewards did this. So it could be me, but I'm sitting on the person's chest. If we've got chloroform, we would administer chloroform to put them under. Okay.
That would be nice of you.
That would be good. Then the first thing that we would take is what was called, it's a goat's foot. It's a dental tool. It's got hooks on it. But you would go into the mouth and, of course, try to pry that tooth loose and if possible, maybe even bring it out with this.
Ow.
If not, you had another tool that was used, which was called a tooth key. And the tooth key is wrapped around the top of the tooth. So let's say my finger is the tooth. If I wrap this around the top of the tooth and I begin to turn, if I can get that to stay on there, but what I'm doing is I'm rotating the tooth up and out.
Right.
Now, if I'm lucky, maybe I don't even have to do that, and I can go in just with what was called a tooth forceps and use this to pull the tooth out. Now, quite often, when you're doing all of this, it was not uncommon for the tooth to break off at the root. If that happened, then we got more of a problem than when you first came in. So this here is what was called a root extractor, which is really nothing more than what you would buy today in any hardware store. It's got a little screw on it. But this would go up into the root canal. You would screw this into the root itself with the idea that you would pull it out.
Right.
Although, unfortunately, I guess quite often these didn't work. And I think a lot of people probably walked around with the root still in their mouth.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of walking around with stuff in your mouth, and well, stuff in you at all, I mean, we've got bullets to worry about, we've got arrows to worry about.
Right. If a soldier was shot with an arrow, I think I'd rather get shot with a bullet than an arrow. But if you were shot with an arrow, you had about a half hour, within the first half hour to get this out. If you didn't, the chances of that arrow staying in you for good is quite possible.
Wow.
And the reason being is that your body gives off heat.
Yes.
Okay, so this is inside your body, it's warm, and the sinews, that animal tendons that the Indians would use to wrap around the shaft to help to hold the arrowhead in, and plus the glues that are used to help hold it in the shaft, all of that begins to loosen up and melt. So that if you were to pull on this, and this were to separate from the shaft, well, you got a problem, because this here, the shaft can help you maybe push it all the way through if you had to.
Right.
But it takes you down, it shows you where the arrow is. Let's say the arrow is embedded in soft tissue, it's not stuck in a bone. You would go in with just a twisted wire like this. You would follow the shaft down, and when you got to the point of the arrow, this would go onto the point, and then you would pull this way. And of course, the wire keeps this onto the shaft.
Right.
Now let's say this is stuck in a bone. Well, we can't put it over the tip because it's stuck in a bone. So then we'll take a device like this. It's a tube that's got a wire in it, but the wire now goes over the top of the shaft. You work down to where the point is. You get down there, and once you get down, you tighten up this around it, and then you pull it out this way.
Sure.
But the other thing that made these difficult is that quite often rattlesnake venom was put on there, or also you know, parts of their liver and things of that thing that would also have a poison. So
dear.
The arrow was a pretty tough thing to deal with.
Oh my gosh. And bullets were probably the most common wound.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say the most common.
Then again, they go around shooting each other.
In the Civil War, you could say that, but here, let's say at Fort Verde, if a soldier got shot with a ball, one, you hope they didn't hit the bone, because if it hit the bone, it would shatter the bone, then you're looking at amputation. But let's say you're hit by a ball or a bullet, and it's in soft tissue. What you would do is that they would take what was called a bullet probe, just a iron rod, but the iron rod would go down into the wound, because what you're trying to do is that you're trying to find the bullet. Now, if they didn't have one of these, they would use their fingers, which was worse because that created more internal bleeding and also germs, etc.
Right.
But we used the probe, we found the ball, so then the next tool we might use is what was called a ball extractor, and actually these were used all the way through World War I. This would go down in the wound where that bullet is, and this is a screw. If this can be placed then near that ball, and let's say the ball or the bullet is maybe up against a bone, that helps because you got something to push against. Then you just start screwing it, and then once you've screwed this into the bullet, you're able to retrieve it.
Wow.
Or if you're lucky, you don't even need to use that. You can just go in with a ball forceps or a bullet forceps and pull it out.
Bob, you're amazing. Your knowledge is incredible, and I know you could go on for another 30 minutes. We haven't even touched amputation yet, or any of the other really gory stuff that might make you want to faint. So if you have any interest in this, you can always stop by Fort Verde State Historic Park, especially during the history of the soldier time when they're going through all of this stuff, and it's out and about. And next time you think of complaining about your health care, remember this stuff, and you don't think it's that bad. So. Bob Irv, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we'll be right back, so don't go away.
A message from the Pulaski Law Firm. You started there right out of high school, learned your trade and did it well. And the asbestos you handled, well, that was just part of the job. If you worked in the trades and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, get the best care available, then call us. You may be entitled to financial compensation without ever going to court.
Call 800-237-0933
and see how we can help. Mesothelioma, don't fight it alone.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people?
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
It's absolutely worth it.
Call 1-800-590-2166 for a free no-obligation quote.
This is important news from the Diabetic Supply Line. If you, a friend, or a family member has diabetes and you have lost your supplier, or if you need a supplier for your diabetic supplies, you may qualify to get your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. To be potentially eligible, you only need Medicare or private insurance. Call the Diabetic Supply Line now. Operators are standing by to take your call. Call now.
be thrown and chase the light from setting sun till dawn of night, when desert droughts can break again, from thunder clouds and storms they send, lightning striking southern rim, flooding springs and tracing cliffs, monsoons making their way through the canyon. As soon as they touch down, they roll back out. Monsoons, riding winds, they're shown the way, beckon long and beg to stay, like an artist of a lover coming round once every summer, painting dirt with colors wet, drenching earth with nature's scent, monsoons making their way through the canyon. As soon as they touch down, they roll back out. Monsoons, 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 closing out the summer. She'll wait another year till you find your way back here. Monsoons, find your way back here. Monsoons, find your way back here.
Beautiful. I love it. I saw the whole thing. I could see the whole thing. Megan Gibson, everyone. That was great. And I know that was a song from your album, 100 Years Away.
Yes, yeah, that was Monsoons. And the album is this whole conglomeration of exactly trailing everything from the beginning of my ancestry through my connection with it, I think, today, and writing what I thought really connected visually.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
really create the vision of the lightning striking. And, you know, if you've lived in Arizona for any amount of time, you know what a monsoon is and how amazing they are here.
Gorgeous.
And the
My
smell
favorite.
they create and how everything changes color. To be able to capture that in a song, brilliant.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
That's brilliant. It's poetry with music behind it. I mean, you know. How long have you been playing?
Oh, gosh. About 22 years, something like that. A long time, yeah. I started on violin initially, and then I kind of wanted something a little more rocky, so transitioned into guitar. And, you know, and I love the connection actually with my family history in the album, because my great-great-grandmother, Ada Bass, was a musician, and she was actually a music teacher, and she went to Boston Conservatory, New England Conservatory, classically trained in piano and self-taught on violin. So being able to bring forth music, oh my gosh, I mean, that kind of tie is wonderful.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you tell stories with your songs.
Yes, yeah, and she kept a diary for over 50 years of everything she experienced at the Grand Canyon, so nearly daily of everything that went on, and some were incredible hardships, and some were the mundane, and she held this incredible mystery inside of, I think, her existence. So I wanted to bring all of that to life. I wanted to write through any pieces that I thought, you know, maybe she was trying to express, or maybe she only in her heart wanted to express. And so I read through her diary entries and then wrote the album based on their lives. And so I try to bring out Honky Tonks is another one that's kind of funky and a Western, and relating how she went out and would play gigs at Honky Tonks.
Really?
So I thought, oh yeah, she was doing that back in the day, and she'd play piano with rowdy cowboys and everything. And so I thought, well, gosh, you know, I'm doing that today, and playing gigs and playing music. And so being able to connect with her on that level, and she actually had a composition about her brother, so that's actually on here.
Really?
Yeah, it's a recording. We don't ever know if it was ever even recorded, but I brought in a quartet, and we recorded that too. So it was a special piece.
Bringing that to life. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those great stories. And you didn't have to make any of it up. It
No,
was-
yeah, it's
it
all
happened.
there. It's all there. It happened, and I could visualize everything. And I wanted to just share their lives and share what they experienced, and again, their contributions to the Grand Canyon and to tourism at the Grand Canyon,
huge.
that so many people today have an opportunity to really experience and take in and delve into, because they went out there in the middle of nowhere and were risk takers.
Right.
And I have such pride in that. I just think it's a great story, and I want to, musically, I thought, well, that's the voice that I can express. That's the way that I can contribute and share their story.
Yeah.
So,
And you do it wonderfully, and you
Thank
have a
you.
beautiful voice. Now, we can get your CD by going to the GrandCanyonProject.com. We
Yes.
can order it through there.
Yes, you
I know
can.
it's on CD Baby.
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
get it through
ooh,
there.
yes, iTunes as well.
There you
Mhm.
go. You're on Facebook. You do Twitter. You're
Yes,
on LinkedIn.
Instagram.
It's like social
All
media
of
maven. So that's fantastic. So you're real easy to get a hold of. Thank you for
Yes.
performing on the show.
Of course.
I
No,
really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
I love
What's
it.
the next name of the song? that you're gonna play?
So this next one is Great Great Grandmother.
Fabulous.
About Ada.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Absolutely.
Megan Gibson, everyone. Check her out at thegrandcanyonproject.com. Thank you for checking out the Verde Valley Experience. Really appreciate it. You can check us out on Facebook at verdevalleytv.com, and we will see you next time.
Red rock dirt buried her body. Canyon winds still cradle her soul. Weeping love grass watches nightly as the tears stream down Colorado. Skies bask in music, violins play inside the walls. Black and white keys dance the horizon, and her voice sings the midnight calls. Ooh, ooh, ooh. One life gone, but not forgotten. Still her echoed spirit beats, for I'm her great great granddaughter, and her heart's a part of me. Ooh, ooh, one life gone, but not forgotten. Still her echoed spirit beats, for I'm her great great granddaughter, and her heart's a part of me, for I'm her great great granddaughter, and her heart's a part of me, for she